Hey y'all, howdy. Welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandra Broadwell. Today is Thursday, August 8th, and I have just driven to Greenville, South Carolina to attend an event called Books Over Drinks, which is part of Djeli Clark's book tour for the Black Cattail Assassins. I'm so excited. Apparently, my ticket got me into the event. I get a cocktail, I get a copy of the book, and I get to hang out with Djeli Clark for the evening. So it's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited. I'm just sitting out in the parking lot right now and I'm about to go inside. So yay! I'll see you in there.
So I tell them, what do you drink because you're all under 21? And they go, yeah, sure. Right? Like, can you break the law? Obviously, right. Yeah. So that's my long answer. Yeah. I haven't yet, but I love to see how.
It's 2 days later. I had the best time at the book tour event. So let me just set the scene for you. M. Judson Booksellers in Greenville was this 4-story building in the middle of this like beautiful brick plaza, tons of cool downtown things around there like fountains and beautiful lights and just like a really pedestrian friendly type of place. The event was on the 4th floor, so I went in. The bookshop was unfortunately already closed by the time the event was taking place, so I didn't get to wander around the bookstore, but it looked really cool from what I did see. But so I walked up to the 4th floor. It was this fairly small kind of living room sized room. They had the books laid out with everyone's name on a card on top of them so you could find the book that belonged to you. And then you got to go to the back of the room and grab your cocktail. And they had specially made themed cocktails, which were like some sort of rum and blackberry concoction. It was super delicious. So I grabbed those things and I picked a seat. Like I said, very intimate setting. I was not the first one to get there, but there were only a few people there when I got there, and I would say overall probably the event only had about 20 people, including like the author and the booksellers. So it was very personal, which was really nice. But after I got there and grabbed my seat, I realized that the author was just sitting in the back of the room by himself, like scrolling on his phone. And I was like, oh, okay, gonna like banish my introvert self and like go say hi. So I walked up to him and I was like, hey, would you prefer some alone time to prepare for this event, or would you rather have some company? And he immediately just like flashed this huge grin at me and set his phone down. He was like, I don't have any prep to do and I'd love some company. And we just talked for like 20 minutes one-on-one, me and Djeli Clark, and it was so much fun. He is so cool, so down to earth. We talked about everything from his book tour and like what stops he's excited about. He's getting ready to take his kids to Disneyland, and we talked about like our shared high school marching band experiences and like what he's working on next after this book. He's like in the middle of edits for his next middle grade novel. He talked about the really like golden age that we're in right now of sci-fi and fantasy television shows, and how, you know, when he was growing up, we were lucky to have one of those things. So we just talked about like our shared love of various sci-fi and fantasy franchises. Also dove into like his day job as a history professor. I mean, literally we covered the whole gambit. It was so much fun. And then I left him alone for a minute or two right before the event got started and took my seat. I met a very nice woman sitting next to me who is from Greenville. I think I was the only person actually that like drove in from not Greenville. I think everybody else was like kind of a regular at the bookstore. So that was cool. Djeli Clark was like really wowed that I drove in an hour to get there and see him. When the event started, he talked about his background, kind of author stuff, some of his other works, and then he did a reading from the first chapter of The Dead Cattail Assassins. That was all good, and then we had a Q&A session. Questions like, why are most of your protagonists women? Why this weird title? What's more fun, building your own world like in this book, or doing an alternative history like most of his other books like Ring Shout and Master of Jin? Yeah, it was just like, again, it was just so cool. It was so fun. And then after the Q&A session ended, there was the book signing, and he really just like, he had a one-on-one conversation with like everyone as they were going through the line to get their book signed. And it just made it feel so personal. He did personalize all of them that wanted it. So mine says, "Hi Sandy, thank you for coming out. Was great talking to you." And then he was like, "Don't leave until I give you this pin. I have extra swag, but not enough for everyone." And so I hung out to the end, and he gave me the super cool pin, which I forgot to bring into the room with me, but I'll show it before the end of the video. But so I got an extra little swag pin. Yeah. It was so much fun. I'm so glad that I went. It was well worth it. And I'm just also so glad that I like got over that kind of conversational hurdle for myself. I have throughout most of my life been too shy of a person to just walk up to someone and start a conversation, a stranger especially. And for like an author I admire, that was like a really big step. And it just makes me reflect on like how many great connections and conversations and experiences have I missed out on throughout my early life by not taking those plunges. You know, I really got like a deep connection with an author that I already admired, and now I just like admire him even more. He's such a cool guy. And I am now about, I would say probably 40% of the way through this. I haven't had too much time to read the last couple of days because this would be a really easy book to binge in one day. It's only 213 pages, and I am on page 95. So that puts me at chapter 5. So to give you a little, what is this book about, right? The tagline for the book is, "The dead cattail assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead." So yes, our main character is a woman named Aveen. She is an undead. She's basically been reincarnated to be an assassin. Everyone in her guild is an undead assassin, and part of their whole thing is that they have no memories of their past life and no connection to who they were before. And so she is in this big city, and it's during the day-night weekend of the Festival of the Clockwork King, which I'm getting more and more lore on as we go through the story, which sounds really fun and fascinating. Our assassin is assigned to go assassinate this person before dawn. She goes to assassinate said person, and when she gets there, she recognizes their face from her previous life. And it's the first time she's ever had a memory resurface, and she immediately just freezes up and is like, "Oh my God, what do I do? This is wrong. I can't kill this person." And so now she is kind of dealing with the fallout of this, because one of the caveats of being one of these guild members is that you have to carry out every contract. You can't fail to kill someone. That's like the whole thing of being an assassin, right? And so now her guild boss is pretty pissed off, and basically she's going to have some really dire consequences if she doesn't figure out what is going on and how this has happened before dawn. So that's where we are right now. She's trying to figure things out. She is trying to figure out the mystery, trying to figure out who put this hit out for this person, how this ties into her past life. So it's really fun so far. Again, I love all the world building elements that we're getting, just bits and pieces, mostly of the Clockwork King Festival, but also just the magic system of like reincarnation and how the undead have rights in this world and things like that. It's a good time. And that's one of the things that Djeli Clark mentioned about the book in his event, his book tour event, was that, you know, people have really tried to peg him or pigeonhole him into certain things like, oh, he does Southern Gothic, or oh, he does alternate history, or, you know, these various different things. And most of his other books have had like really deep themes and messages. And he was like, this one is just a fantasy book that I wrote because I wanted to have a good time. Like, this is supposed to be a good time. It's silly and goofy and fun, and it's just supposed to be fun. So far, mission accomplished. So those are my thoughts at the 40% of the way through the book mark. And I will most likely finish this today and tune back in later to let you guys know what my final thoughts on The Dead Cattail Assassins was. If you ever get the chance to meet your favorite authors, go do it. This is the pin that I got. How freaking cute is that? I love it. I haven't figured out what I want to pin it to yet, but oh my gosh, so fun. It's later the same day. As predicted, I have finished The Dead Cattail Assassins, and this was exactly what I hoped it would be. It was a fun romp about undead assassins. I mean, what more could you hope for? There is a goddess that holds the contracts for all of the undead assassins. The goddess came into play late in the story. There was some fun Creole dialect that was brought in on the page, kind of spelled out, that I had fun sounding out loud to kind of interpret what was being said. There was fights between undead assassins. There was hijinks. The mystery of who the person was that she was sent to kill unraveled in a satisfying way. I am just constantly in awe every time I pick up one of Djeli Clark's works, how much he can pack into such a short space. I don't know how he does it. I want to like study the language that he used, because when I write, I feel like I'm overly verbose, but he has more impact in a shorter amount of words than I feel like a lot of authors get across in an entire novel. And it's just incredible. This is one that I don't think is going to like stick with me in any sort of like favorites list or anything like that, because it's just a fun romp. And I feel like it's exactly what I would recommend to anyone who's looking for just a fun short book to read. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be giving this a 4.5 stars. It didn't have quite the same impact for me as like Ring Shout, but I would consider it just as good as A Master of Djinn. Super happy that I was able to meet the author, get this new book, and have such a great experience with it. So those are my thoughts on The Dead Cattail Assassins. I hope I convinced you to go out and pick it up, request it from your library, however you get a hold of your books, and yeah, spread the love. It's a good one. Thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out with me for a little bit today. As always, please be kind, read books, and hit the subscribe button below for more bookish content to come. I'll see you next time.